Now, there is some things I would love to say to describe this fight between Zeldris and Escanor, but because of how YouTube is, I can't say certain words. But I know there is one thing I can say. After this fight, and what Escanor just did to Zeldris, I could say that Zeldris lost his V card. There is no way that man has it anymore after what just happened. When he got the finger poke to the gut, I was like, yo, I felt that. Like, I felt that. Like, that man got hit so freaking hard. It's not even funny. Like, holy crap. Actually, it is funny. It's hilarious. It is legitimately hilarious what happened within this chapter. So, let's talk about it. This chapter, honestly, I feel like this is going to be a quick video, because it's a very simple chapter. It's Escanor dominating. And then that conclusion, which is a little bit of a shock, but even then, though, it's a very simple chapter, and I don't think it's going to take a long time for me to really discuss this chapter. But, to get into it, Escanor, the one mode. I am very, very happy with the consistency of it, at the very least. The way Nakaba has truly made it to where when Escanor is in the one mode, it literally means he is the embodiment of invincibility itself. He can destroy or challenge anyone. And that pleases me. That really pleases me. Because that is one thing I was a little bit concerned about. Because if Escanor did use the power, the one mode, and it was defeated, then what was the point of giving it the title, the, incarnation of invincibility? It just doesn't make sense. You wouldn't give a title like that if it legit did not mean that permanently. Which, like I said, the reason why this is okay, even though Escanor is considered a plot device, it's okay because once again, he's like a clock. He constantly gets weaker, stronger, and we do know that his body is breaking down. So, because of that, we know for a fact that he can't constantly spam the one mode and be crazy, ridiculously powerful like he is. But even then, though, I'm glad that Escanor remained very consistent. Even if this might be the last time we could probably see him go all out, because we saw him already puking up blood the last time he did the one mode. We saw that. And so we could assume that this is going to be even worse this time, because the Grace is probably just completely destroying his body inside and out. And, he's probably going to be GG if he ever uses it again. But okay, to talk about it though, can we say that what Escanor did, like, the man tried to use his Divine Axe, his sacred treasure, against Ominous Nebula Zeldris. Like, he tried to use it, and it was reflected back. You see the entire blade, like, the Divine Axe just reflected back. And my first thought was like, oh my god, like, Zeldris, like, that's impressive. Which, actually, that is still impressive. Even though we got some context to it, it's still impressive that he was able to hold back the Divine Axe that Escanor uses and repelled it back. Escanor's one mode got bruised, which proves that, yeah, Zeldris is no joke, especially with his power, Ominous Nebula. So, I will commend the man there. That is definitely a major feat to do something like that. But it's hilarious that as soon as Escanor looked at his weapon, like, as soon as it happened, he's like, he just slings it back, and he's like, Divine Sword, Escanor, and he's like this, dude, like, yo, like, that had me dying. Like, the man just uses his freaking hand. He's like, okay, my axe not working, fine, I'll use my actual body as a sword. And he does the boy. He does the straight boy like he did to Meliodas. You remember when he hit Meliodas with the boy? That's what happened. Like, he just straight up was like, bam, like, he's just like crushing Zeldris and all that, and Zeldris like, oh crap, and all that. And then all of a sudden, he breaks through his defenses, and Zeldris is backing up. He's like, okay. And he's like, Lance, holy Lance, pokes him right in the gut. Like, 2 hits. Literally, actually, 1 hit. Let's talk about that. So, literally, Zeldris took just 1 hit. It took 1 hit to break Ominous Nebula. It took, technically, 2 for counting Divine Axe. But if we're counting the actual full embodiment of the one mode, took 1 hit to break Ominous Nebula, which not even Rudicil could even deal with, or anyone, Merlin, no one could deal with. So that speaks volumes about the one mode. But 1 hit to break Ominous Nebula. Then it took 1 hit to literally just knock Zeldris out of the park. The man literally deactivated both of his abilities because he went unconscious for a second, opened his eyes back up, and was about to reactivate, which shows that the sheer power that Escanor displayed in that moment is ridiculous. Just one hit, 2 hits if we're counting everything, or 3 counting the axe. But it still wasn't enough to actually bring down Zeldris. It does also state or show that Zeldris is definitely a tanky boy. He's very tanky because he did honestly a lot better than Meliodas. Meliodas got hit and he was down. Like, man was down. So yeah, Zeldris, I gotta commend you on that. You did a fantastic job holding off against, Escanor. You took a blow straight to the gut, and then you got back up. Well, you were trying to get back up until Rudis cheap shotted you, which, actually, let's talk about all that for a second. To kind of explain what Escanor was doing to Zeldris in that moment when he was using the Holy Lance, he's like, be pierced or whatever. From what I'm assuming, if the fight would have continued and that minute didn't run out for Escanor, high noon, he probably would have punctured completely through Zeldris and went straight through his body with his finger, which I assume would have instantly ended the fight. But because the one mode ended, he wasn't able to do so, which then resulted in him being able to open his eyes back up, survive Escanor's attack, and to be able to get taken out by Rudis, which I highly doubt that's going to really put him down on his feet. But the point is, though, is Escanor technically did not finish his attack. He hit the man with sheer power. Like, he went in with his blow, right with a finger poke, but it still wasn't enough. So, on one side, Escanor didn't complete his attack, so he didn't really do off his full power to Zeldris to really end him. But if it would have continued, I'm going to assume Zeldris would have died. But even then, though, Zeldris took a hit from the one mode, which means that Zeldris tanky, and you should definitely not shy away from the man being ridiculous. If that says anything about Zeldris, it says a lot about Meliodas and what he's going to be like when he has the 5 commandments finally, in his body and he comes out of that cocoon. He's going to be pretty ridiculous because Zeldris says so much about the situation with how strong Escanor is and how strong the Demon King is, Supreme Goddess, and, just how Zeldris is. But this chapter, I think, is going to probably get a lot of fans excited, but at the same time, it's probably going to upset a lot. Because people are going to say, oh, how predictable. Escanor going in, stomping and all that, and, obviously he can't be defeated. Which, look, it's always been established that Escanor has been this strong since the very beginning. He's a hype character, his attitude's freaking amazing, and you cannot tell me, even if you're a Zeldris fan and you dislike Escanor, you cannot tell me it's not pretty epic to see the man literally look at his sacred treasure, throw it to the side, which has been established since the very beginning of the story, that sacred treasures literally are supposed to amplify the power of the said individual. But it's crazy to think that the sacred treasure could not even keep up with the amount of power that was the one. And so because of that, he threw it away. It's, you can't tell me that's not epic. Just seeing the man go in, like, karate chop the hell out of Zeldris, and then eventually finger poke the man. That's funny. That really is. You don't see that in many shonen. You don't see that in many action manga or anything. Something that just happened within this chapter. Now, anyways, after Escanor reverts back and all that to a very weak mode, Rudis pops up, uses his grace, the Flash, to hit Zeldris. Now, we could assume that Zeldris isn't really down yet, because, the man was bleeding, but I highly doubt, he's, down for the count, because that would just be too easy. I think Nakaba-sensei wouldn't have allowed Escanor to not finish him off just to have Rudis do something like that. I feel like Zeldris is going to reactivate his abilities, and then everything's going to repeat once again, which might in turn make it to what I was talking about in my last chapter review, and how Merlin might force Escanor into a permanent state of the one mode, for he can use it to be able to fight Zeldris again. Which also we need to talk about what Chandler did. Chandler activated, darkness at the end, which means that technically he is hard countering the hell out of Escanor right now, and how he probably won't be able to get back at that strength for a very long time if he keeps that up. And so it's going to be interesting to see, Chandler now entering the fray, trying to protect, Zeldris, and Cusack trying to protect Zeldris. It's going to be a very fascinating fight, and I'm very curious to see if, Merlin, like I said, is going to enhance Escanor and make him use the one mode, but which in turn is probably going to, end him. So, let's talk about Meliodas' problem. Zeldris mentioned something that's very, very fascinating at the beginning of this chapter, which I think got everybody that's a Zeldris or Meliodas fan incredibly happy, because they're like, oh crap, I mean, this explains so much why Escanor was able to defeat Meliodas. That's what I'm assuming a bunch of Meliodas fans were saying when they read the beginning portion of this chapter. When Zeldris is like, oh, you defeated Meliodas? I'm going to assume that he held back. He has a bad habit at that, and that's probably why he got defeated, which does make sense. It does make a lot of sense, but at the same time, though, we do know that the Meliodas that Escanor was fighting was Assault Mode Meliodas that was literally just wrath, evil. He was literally, he was not a good person whatsoever, so you could assume in that moment, Meliodas was not holding back at all. He had no reason to. So I'm going to assume that Zeldris is right about his brother, but I think in the end, Meliodas probably did go all out and then got completely just curb stomped into the ground by the one, which resulted in his defeat. But also, that is interesting, though, that was said. I do like how Nakaba-sensei kind of clarified to Meliodas fans about one of his big issues, but also at the same time it says that, you know, the one mode is still very strong, because he annihilated Meliodas, and then now he pretty much annihilated Zeldris. I want to end it there, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.